Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Queen Elizabeth, A Day in Her Life. And today we're going to look at how Queen Elizabeth created the idea of the first walkabout that she did. It began in New Zealand. When Queen Elizabeth was in New Zealand, she decided she could meet more people firsthand by walking around instead of riding in the car, modernizing the monarchy with the walkabouts. So when she was a child, Elizabeth later told painter Pietro Angoni, "I love watching the people in the cars there in the mall. They all seem so busy." The trip to New Zealand and Australia, the countries, they were starting to lose their feelings for being ruled by Britain. And according to the Sun.com, her previous visit there in 1963 had not created much excitement, and there was growing calls for Australia and New Zealand to become republics. The Sun.com also stated that when a New Zealand civil servant suggested the Queen might like to stop and talk to locals before a formal engagement at Wellington Town Hall, her advisors decided to risk it. So on the first day of New Zealand visit in March, the royal car stopped short of the hall, and the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh merged to walk the rest of the way. The Queen decided to wing it. She was usually briefed about what was going to be talked about beforehand, but she went out there and she did. She was a hit. And she loved the crowd, and they loved her back, and smiles were all around. And when they went to Australia, the crowds got larger for the Queen because of the walkabout. Years later, the Queen was quoted as saying, "It is 10 years ago that we undertook our first walkabout in Australia in Collins Street, and I still remember vividly the novelty and excitement of that occasion." So that was what Queen Elizabeth II said. The Queen was warned not to visit certain locations. According to the Sun U.S. version, there are 2 instances where the Queen was met with a little bit of trouble. She was egged in Auckland, New Zealand on February 24, 1986. The AP News reported that Queen Elizabeth II was hit by an egg thrown by women protesting Britain's 146-year-old treaty with New Zealand's Maori tribes, police said. The Queen was riding Sunday in an open car with her husband, Prince Philip, when 2 women posing as crowd control wardens hurled eggs at her, witnesses said. One egg hit the Queen's coat, and the egg yolk trickled down her pink dress. Another egg splattered the car's windshield. The Queen appeared startled but quickly regained her composure. The incident occurred during the Queen's first public appearance in a 9-day tour of New Zealand. She was riding past a crowd of 40,000 schoolchildren at Elsley Racecourse. Witnesses said the women who threw the eggs got around the security cordons by posing as crowd control wardens in white coats, and they were hustled away by police within seconds shouting, "We're bloody protesting, that's what. The Queen's come here and they aren't honoring the treaty." I'm glad they chose an egg and not anything deadly, and I hope the protesters had a lengthy jail stay. The next incident wasn't too bad. In Kingston, Jamaica, the Queen was bundled into a Land Rover when the security guards worried that she was being hugged too tightly by the local women. So they were just showing their love. I guess they were doing a bit overly enthusiastically. And when she visited South Africa in 1995, she was told not to do the walkabouts in the black townships, but the Queen didn't listen, and she was met by weeping crowds who loved her visit with them. And when the Queen was in Belfast in 1995, she was told not to do the walkabout there too, but she said she knew her people, and she walked there without incident. And the US Sun.com brought up a story that showed the Queen's sense of humor. There was a time in Australia when 3 students arrived at the walkabout with a waving machine, a stuffed glove that was moved when you pulled the lever. Princess Anne recalled of the moment. The 3 presented it to the Queen, I assume thinking that they were being really rather daring and rather cheeky. And the Queen took it and said, "Thank you very much. That's what I've always wanted." Their faces dropped because it wasn't quite the reaction they were expecting. And during the Silver Jubilee, she came up with another funny quip. Someone named Alex Dingley said, "All I managed to blurt out was, 'God, you're shorter than you are on television.' To which she replied, 'Well, I'm taller than the Queen Victoria, you know.'" So the Queen, she loved her people, and the people loved her. And on June the 7th, 1977, Jubilee Day, 1 million people lined the streets to see the Queen travel to St. Paul's Cathedral in the Golden State coach for the service of Thanksgiving. Then after the ceremony, she stepped out with Prince Philip for the first ever walkabout in London. They walked all the way to Guildhall along Cheapside and up King Street. The Queen's face lit up the whole way, and at one point she asked a group, "Everybody quite happy?" adding, "I am," and people had slept overnight in the streets and in the rain to see her, and someone in the crowd stated, "We've come here because we love you." And the Queen replied, "I can feel it, and it means so much to me." The Queen really had a pull toward people, and when World War II ended, she asked to go into the crowd and see what the people were doing during the celebration. It showed then that she was the leader who loved her people and wanted to be around them. And she insisted on doing things her way and got herself closer to the people. The people felt her love, and they loved her back. So it was neat to find out that Queen Elizabeth started the walkabout and kept it up throughout her life. And now it's part of the modern royalty's tradition. So it brought the people closer to the royal family, and that's a good thing. I hope everybody's been having a good day. If you like the video, if you could give it a thumbs up, that would be great. Also, if you could subscribe, that would be good too. I hope you enjoy the video and tune in again soon for another episode of Queen Elizabeth, A Day in Her Life. Thank you. Bye.